Hi, everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight to celebrate what is truly a momentous occasion for our public access community. This year, for the first time in our history, we were nominated for 2 Regional Emmy Awards. That's huge. It means that the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences looked at the work we do here and considered us to be the peers of KARE 11 and WCCO and TPT and all of the other big stations in the area. That's a rare thing for community television and rarer for the public access community. We did some looking, and over the past few years, a small handful of other community stations like this have received Emmy nominations. But as far as we can tell, this is the first time that public access programs, shows made with the help of volunteer amateur producers, have been nominated maybe ever. And that's enormous. This year, 2 programs in particular were nominated, and we'll watch those in a moment and talk about them more yet tonight. But I want each of you to know this. Even if you didn't work on these particular programs, they would never have been possible without the support of this entire public access community. Each show builds from the one before it. Each time we come together and work, we make something new and better than the thing before it. Lessons are learned, new talents and new perspectives are found. Speaking for myself, I know that the sort of programs I make have changed profoundly, thanks to the experience of knowing and working with each and every one of you. So I think the whole community deserves a round of applause. Now, without further ado, the first of our Emmy-nominated programs, ANOKA and the Tornado of 39.
Father owned a cabin at Lake George, which is 12 miles from ANOKA, and we were at that time packing up to go to the lake, and we were going to have a picnic and so on, go fishing and swimming and so on, so for the weekend that would be. And my cousin was there with me, George his name was, and we went to the store, which is about a little ways from our cabin, to get an ice cream cone. And then we went up there, and there were some cars that had stopped at the store to get some gas, and they said, boy, there's a terrible, terrible storm in ANOKA. And of course, we were young fellows looking for what's going on. What's the deal? What's going on? The guy had a broken windshield and some broken windows in his car, and he was very, very upset and very scared.
The city of ANOKA is ruined and shattered tonight. A tornado that whipped through ANOKA, Champlin, Corcoran, Cedar, and Maple Grove at 3:20 this afternoon had taken the lives of 9 residents. 144 have been injured, and damage is now estimated at $2 million. Destroyed are the ANOKA Armory, 3 churches, the post office, the Masonic Temple, and the high school. 300 homes in the ANOKA area have been damaged or demolished.
The tornado lasted about 5 minutes, and the damage it caused in that 5 minutes is, well, it's impossible to estimate at this point. Of course, you are amazed when you walk down the street and see huge trees snapped over like they were toothpicks and boards driven into cars. Cars turned up on their side, thrown into houses, the sides of houses torn out, and debris all over the place. The roof of the large churches taken off, iron girders twisted as though they were just a little piece of wire. That's what a tornado does.
Well, life in ANOKA in 1939, ANOKA was a pretty bustling community. There was about 6,000 people living here at the time, and it was very much a commercial center for the sort of upper northern, today the suburbs. Federal Cartridge was a major employer, and it was also, the community was supported by what I would call the agribusinesses, those places that were supported by farming and those types of things. Creameries and things like that were happening in and around ANOKA. So that was the community, kind of a bustling community, a lot of civic pride, lots of things happening with the high school, and those were the sort of points of interest for the community.
It was a sunny day, and it was about between 3:30 in the afternoon. It was Sunday. And my sister and I were out in the kitchen. I know it was Father's Day.
The first thing I remember about that day was when Mom and Dad said we're going to walk downtown to a parade. I was very excited about that. And just even going for a walk with them was unusual because they were both working people and very busy usually. They both worked at Federal Cartridge. They started work there the same day. That's where they met, and about a year and a half later they got married. So we walked, it's approximately 7 or 8 blocks to the middle of the Rum River Bridge facing south, and the band was marching by.
First cousin Jimmy Ward and I, real tight, lived a block apart, and we were on our way downtown. Actually, we were on our way to go through downtown to go to the Rice Street Beach, where the city of ANOKA maintained a lifeguard and all that. That's where most of the kids swam.
I was sitting on the front porch. At one end, on the west side end, my husband was sitting on the east side end. We were just conversing and just enjoying the breeze. And it was very humid, very heavy, humid. And we thought maybe there'd be a storm blowing up pretty soon.
We had gone to the city. It was Father's Day, and we went down to see my husband's father on Father's Day, and we visited a while, and we decided to go to a movie. And while we were in this show house, I got very uneasy, and I wanted my husband to get up and leave. I said it was thundering and lightning, and I was very concerned.
When we got downtown, right in the first block after the courthouse, it was Ward's Confectionery, and we happened to stop in there just to probably get an ice cream cone or something like that. And all of a sudden, Les Mason, who was the beach director and the athletic director at ANOKA High School, came running up the street, hollering to everyone, "Take cover, take cover."
I've always been interested in music, and they were playing music, and they were marching in step. I mean, they were in their rows, but their feet looked like there was only 1 foot walking. They were perfect. And I was busy looking at that and sort of marching myself when Dad said, "Look at the sky." And they each took a hand, and I don't even remember my feet touching the ground. You know, the 8 blocks that we had to go home and into a basement. I don't think it even had I think it had a dirt floor even. And I didn't know what a tornado was, but I knew it was a bad storm because things were happening by the time we got home. We were wet and the wind was blowing.
And all of a sudden we looked out the window and everything was flying out there. And so we said, "Oh, Mom, look, the town is blowing away." So she said, she came and looked and she said, "Oh my goodness, that's a tornado, get to the basement."
And so we just went into Ward's Confectionery, and it just happened that my older sister was there, my father was there, and he asked me to help him close and hold the front door, and he shooed everybody into the basement. And there was a popcorn machine right out front, and it started twirling, and then down the street it went.
But then we were trying to decide where our father was, and remembered that he was upstairs taking a nap. So my sister Edna and my mom went to the basement, and I went upstairs and called him, and he got up and kind of shook. And I thought he had followed me down, but apparently he didn't.
I was scared, and I was doubly scared because my parents were so upset as well. You know, that was, as a small child, you can be scared and get upset, but their adults are more calm about it. But they were not calm about it at all. And so that was scary for everybody, I think.
Everybody will say it sounds like a locomotive, you know. They do make noise, you know.
Just like a train, choo, 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 you know, like a train going by. And I ran back of the house, and I could just see it coming, just like a tumbleweed, just coming and making that noise.
It was so dark, and I could hardly hear. It was so noisy. And so I got to the door of the basement, opened the door, and up I went. Sorry. And I was just pelted with everything. and it didn't last so long, but I came down and I was just covered.
And we got as far as that dining room table. We stood there with our arms around each other.
I remember the rug was coming out of under us.
And somebody said, God help us all. And he did.
Finally, the thing was over, and my dad grabbed my hand and he said, "Let's go, but don't step on any wires." So we ran 2.5 blocks away where my house was, and my mother was home with the 2 youngest boys and the youngest sister. Our front porch was gone, the roof was half gone, the northern wall of the house was bulged out about 1 foot, and my dad kept looking down in the basement window saying, "Louie, Louie, Louie." Her name was Lucretia, my mother. And what she had done was she grabbed the little kids and headed for the basement, but right as it hit our house, she got caught in the doorway and she hurt her arm.
Dad packed up and we got everything going, ready to go back out to ANOKA. When we got to our house, we seen the house across the street from ours was practically demolished, gone. But we were still standing, but the house was turned on the foundation, and our garage was partially gone, and the neighbor's house was there, but 2 blocks down from me was completely gone. There was another house gone down there, and across the street from that was another family where a man had died.
My folks' house was completely gone. And my mother came up to him and says, "I can't find Dad."
So then we couldn't find my dad. So eventually they found him across the street, and he had been decapitated.
My dad was killed. He was found over across 7th Avenue, over the field. And then on the day of Dad's funeral, it just rained. It just poured.
Yeah, today, when you look at the news for a tornado in Oklahoma and stuff like that, what I'm looking at is what I looked at all the way home 2.5 blocks. Just stuff flattened.
We just drove around and we could see, oh, there was stuff laying everywhere, and cars, and people were crying on the street, and there were just, the trees, or the houses were just down. I mean, they were rubble, kind of like, and there was paper everywhere. And later on, I did read, as an older person, that some of the papers, personal papers, were as far as Wisconsin. You know, they'd blown that far away that people found them.
The damage that the tornado caused was extensive, not just in the city of ANOKA, but on the Hennepin County side in Champlin and Dayton, but north of the downtown ANOKA area too. It went through the upper parts of the city of ANOKA, but it went into what was Grove Township, today's Andover, and Oak Grove as well. But it said that the Red Cross said that 3/4 of all of the damages happened within the city of ANOKA. That's on both sides, both counties and both sides of the river. And so the reports were that there was $1.2 million in damages, and that's in today's dollars, just to give you a better feel for it, is almost $20 million.
Then I can remember in the days after this Sunday how I'd venture out to see these other areas, and it was just pathetic. I remember there was one lady that lived next to the SYRINGs who had lost a wedding ring in the storm. And there was a standing offer of $50 or $100 or whatever it was for anyone that could find that wedding ring. So all the kids, of course, were digging through the debris trying to find that wedding ring.
I did do one thing. My dad was in the beverage business. He had a pop factory at that time, bottled pop, Mission Orange and Grape and Root Beer and so on. And there was a lot of people. Of course, the National Guard come in, and our 7th Avenue was so much damage done to it. There's what you might say lookers that want to see what's going on. Of course, the National Guard stopped everybody from coming in unless you were a resident. And my dad said, well, there's a lot of people walking around. He said, why don't you try to sell them some pop? So that was my first job as an entrepreneur, learning how to be a salesman. And I had a cooler full of pop, and I was selling my pop my dad's pop for 5 cents a bottle.
One of the major events that was supposed to be happening on the day of the tornado was the 10th District of the American Legion was going to be having their convention in the city of ANOKA that day, and it was supposed to be held at the Armory, but for reasons unknown, they moved it to the high school. And it was a good thing that they did, because there were hundreds of people here that were in town for that convention, and that building, the Armory, was completely destroyed, and so the injury count and the death toll, for that matter, certainly would have gone up exponentially if they had been in that building. And we've got lots of photos of the damage to that building. The roof was completely down, walls, maybe 2 walls were still standing. So if people had been there for the inside that building for the convention, there could have been a lot more serious damage to people's well-being.
And as I understand it, I did not know at that time that they were going to the Armory and then to the Masonic Lodge. But as an adult, I joined the Eastern Star, which is part of the Masonic family, and I got to know many of the older ladies who were working on the banquet that day for the Legionnaires at the end of their session. But they ended up serving the people that needed to be served, and the helpers that came in. It was just chaotic. And now this is a story that I got from my dear friend, Mrs. Ira Smith. She was an older lady, and she was working that day, and she said there was one gentleman, a younger person, that washed dishes to keep up with the dishes they needed. They only had so many. I don't think they were prepared with paper plates or anything at that time. She said he disappeared before anybody really had a chance to talk to him. They were all so busy, and they often wondered who was that young man that they didn't get a chance to thank, but he just did the dishes. I would like for someone to call me and say, my grandpa was that man. He told that story many times, but that hasn't happened. So
everybody helped everybody on the cleanup and stuff like that. Just like you see today, all kinds of volunteers go to Oklahoma, Missouri, and those areas that hit so hard and help out on the cleanup. And the house, actually the tornado in one way was pretty good because the insurance and the state relief covered. It needed paint really bad, and now it was nice, new and white and all that kind of stuff. As I said when I came in, there's got to be 100 stories of people just like me, of things that happened to them at their home.
I think it's a testament to the spirit of public access that both of our Emmy-nominated programs began at the suggestion of tonight's honored volunteers. Having worked on this program, I can tell you a whole lot about the 1939 ANOKA tornado. But just a year and a half ago, I had no idea there had been a 1939 ANOKA tornado. This program started with Joe Schultz. I think just about all of you know Joe. He's one of our most talented and dedicated volunteers. If you have an idea for a show and you need help, Joe is the first one to step up. Sorry, Joe, I think that comment might have doubled your workload. I could be wrong, but my memory is that Joe had only just started volunteering here. Among other things, he was interested in our home movie transfer program, even donating an old projector. Now, Joe is also a volunteer over at the ANOKA County Historical Center, and he knew that they had some home movies they wanted to get transferred, and he thought one was of this tornado. Well, I went and I looked at the footage. There was some of a parade. There were a few old Little Rascals shorts. There were even 3 turn-of-the-century adult films. And yes, there was footage of the aftermath of the tornado. It was amazing stuff, and it hadn't been seen by anyone in decades. I felt there was a larger story there, and there sure was. Since it was Joe's idea, he was my first call. Then we arranged things with the History Center, and, well, you saw the rest. We obviously owe a great deal of thanks to the History Center and everyone who works there. I also want to thank the survivors who shared their stories, many of which were enormously emotionally difficult to relive. But most of all, I have to thank Joe. Joe, and this goes for so many shows here at NMTV, this never would have happened without you. You're a true talent and an enormous pleasure to work with. And even those shows around here that might have gotten made without your help, they wouldn't be half as good. So thank you. Now this light is really, really bright, so I hope I'm looking well enough in your direction. Joe, stand up and take a bow, for God's sake. All right. Now we'll move on to our second documentary of the night, Learning to Fly.
C-O-U-G-A-R-S, let's go. C-O-U-G-A-R-S. C-O-U-G-A-R-S, let's go. C-O-U-G-A-R-S.
Here's one for magic that lives within, for seeing beauty in the commonest of things.
Allie is my 20-year-old daughter. She has Down syndrome. This little girl is just a firecracker. Allie is a hoot. She is a character. She is very funny. What she lacks in intelligence, she makes up for in personality. She is personality plus.
Jana's very excitable and happy, but she brings a lot of joy to our family with her enthusiasm and excitement. We always call her hyper happy because she's just so full of joy.
Even when she was 4 years old and taking dance classes, she was stealing the stage, making everybody applaud and go crazy.
There was a lot of programs for kids that were younger, and when we came to high school, the only option really was adapted sports. And because adapted sports is 7th through 12th grade boys and girls, my daughter, Jana, would be too overwhelmed with the intensity.
And that's a wonderful program for lots of the 8th graders through 12th graders who have special needs. However, she could not participate. Allie has a lot of knee problems, and because of the physical constraints that she has, she's really not able to run. She's really not able to compete in sports.
I feel like I really don't have any extracurricular activities left, and I know that I try to join the adapted sports, but somehow I'm too smart to play.
Adapted sports, which was the only option, was not really an option for her.
I was sitting in the bleachers cheering on the adapted sports team, and one of the coaches for the team walked up to me and she said, "What would you think about starting an adapted cheer group?" And I said, "Sure."
We could see your girls being cheerleaders. They're excitable, they think it would be fun, but the school can't really, pay anybody. We don't have any staffing, so if you want to do it, it's strictly a parent thing. And so Susan mainly, and me as an associate, kind of put together a team so that the girls who couldn't really participate in that level of sports would have an opportunity to do something.
I found out basically when I went to a soccer game, I saw that you can cheer, and my mom decided that you should try this. I'm like, yeah, because I did varsity and I didn't make it, so might as well try another way of doing it.
I was really excited. I was a cheerleader for 7 years, in junior high, high school, and college. And so I understand the sense of how fun it is, the community. And honestly, if you knew Jana, it just fits Jana. Jana is excitable. She's just like a born cheerleader. Just anything, she's clapping and cheering. And to me, it was like, this is the answer. This is the thing that she can connect and do that will help her thrive in what she's really good at, which is being excited and enthusiastic.
So I named a cheerleading named the Cougarettes. It's more like it's the Centennial High School Sparkle Squad, but I named it the Cougarettes because I thought it was pretty catchy. Catchy!
And then we tried to start figuring out how to cheer. So what we did was got on YouTube and we Googled cheers. And we watched other girls cheer, and we wrote down those cheers.
And then we got right to work on practicing routines and cheers. And, sometimes we would just practice, clapping.
Just clapping together in harmony. It seems so simple, but to kids with special needs, that is not simple. And so we were all kind of clapping differently, and we didn't have any rhythm going. So that was one of the first things we did, was we learned dig, clap, dig, clap. Dig, clap.
How are you learning the cheers? I love doing that. It's very fun.
I like splits a lot and I like it. I like splits on top of my knees and sit on the floor and straight my legs.
I went all the way out like an airplane to the stunt.
And I did the one with the one leg. I stand up on one leg and hold it up
That's
in the air.
true.
Well, the first games, learning to just get out there in front of people was challenging for the girls. The buzzers and the noise were challenging for a lot of the girls. You would see a lot of girls watching the clock tick down and then immediately cover their ears. But it was really fun to see them in time overcome those fears and just get out there and shine. And the audience response to the girls was just amazing.
We would go running down on the field by the students, and they would put out their hands and give us high fives, as we're running by them. And then the student body would all stand up and chant, "Let's go, Allie!" and cheer us on. I mean, we were a spectacle. We were kind of celebrities. We were really well liked.
If anybody wants to find me, in the last place you would look, in a place where people used to be, a land that's called reality. You'll find me there. I won't be catching up on Reddit. I won't be watching any news. I'll let the planet spin without me, 'cause everything has been without me sometime. And everyone will be alright if I'm not live by satellite. It's a beautiful day, I'm running away. Don't bother to Facebook message or call me, 'cause I'm living life in
Amazing. Susan is just, so organized and talented and really connected with the girls. She did a great job.
She's best coach ever. I love her so much.
She is very nice coach, and she helps us.
Yes.
She's the beautiful
girl that helped us out.
Best coach ever.
I love her. Well, for coaches, they're great motivators for Cougar Rats like us.
Cheryl Eliason she was the one who helped to keep me calm during stressful competitions and would always just be there to support me. She was my sounding board. I never did anything without consulting her.
Plus she organizes she organizes parties.
She organizes surprise parties too.
And she has great experiences when it comes to having fun with a lot of cheerleading.
And every single one of them, like I said, you know, special education, people think of disability, but they kind of forget the special part of that word. And, you know, I could talk about every single girl and what was special about them and what they taught me about appreciating life and living well and their unique view on life, which is just amazing.
Bailey Sandbakken is very animated. She's a fashion queen. She dresses to the nines. Stephanie Sabetsky and I are very close. She's like a daughter to me. She was the perfect cheerleader. She is filled with a natural cheer. Brooke Shellstead, she has the gift of silliness. She's a giggler, plus people with Down syndrome tend to be very flexible. She could lay down on the ground and lift one leg straight up in the air. Samantha Stryer was a cheerleader in the middle school. She was my mentor. She helped to teach me things that she learned from cheerleading when she was in the middle school. Sage Daniels has such a strong voice. She cheered with so much strength. One of the happiest people you'd ever want to meet. I think our big turning point came one day when a friend of mine called me and asked me if our cheerleaders would like to be in their cheerleading competition at Totino Grace. And I said sure, but I really didn't know what a competition was. When I was in high school, the girls who were cheerleaders didn't have competitions.
I remember hours and hours and hours of practice to learn a very simple routine. You know, and Susan and I think when we started, we're like, what have we got ourselves into? Because, you know, it's when you see them perform it, you just have no idea what it took behind the scenes to get them to know their places, to remember the song, to remember when to clap, when not to clap.
And we got to the point where we could chant in harmony, and we could clap in harmony, and we could move in harmony. And I'm thinking, dang, we're pretty good. So we went to the competition that following Saturday, and we were all so shocked. First of all, there were 1,300 people there to watch this cheerleading competition. I've never been in front of that many people ever in my life.
Well, when we first been on the stage, we saw tons and tons of people, and we were kind of nervous.
Because I didn't know, because of the audience. Yes, too much for me. It was really big.
Second of all, these cheerleaders were down there on the gymnasium floor doing these flips and these spirals, and all I could think is, oh my gosh, we are going to bomb. When the other cheerleaders would get out there on the floor to cheer, the rest of the audience would just kind of sit there and watch them kind of passively, like they'd seen it a million times. And when the other cheerleaders would put up their cards for the audience to chant C or H or whatever, the audience just kind of sat there and nobody really responded to them the way that they wanted to, except for maybe the parents of the squad, you know, who was performing. Then it was our turn. And we literally got out there and just went rah, rah, shish, gaba. You know, we really did not do anything spectacular. When we got to the point where we were holding up our cards, we said, give me a C. And the whole crowd erupts, C! And I had like all these chills up my arms. I'm like, what's happening? And then give me an O. And we hear, oh! It was like this thunderous sound in this gymnasium. The roof was like ready to erupt off of the place. It was so powerful. And I'm thinking, what's happening here? What's going on? And then we got finished, and I'm gonna cry. Everybody in the audience stood up and gave us a standing ovation. We were a roaring success. And I thought, wow, this was amazing. And one of the moms came up to me and she said, so is that it? You know, should we leave or should we stay? And I said, well, that's it, you know, because all they're going to do now are give out awards, and I'm sure we're not going to be getting an award, so you can go. And so this mom left, and the rest of us were just kind of curious about the awards, so we stayed. So during the award time, we went into the gymnasium again, sat down on the mat, and we were really ready for all the cheerleaders who had worked so hard and done such a magnificent job to get all the big trophies. Well, guess what? The very first trophy was given to our squad, and we couldn't believe it. We went running up there, we got our trophy. You would have think that we had just won an Olympic gold medal. It was such a big deal. We went crazy.
Happy
and proud and excited.
And pumped. It makes us feel encouraged.
Courage. True, baby.
Yeah.
I feel really good about myself.
And their joy at getting that trophy and just being made to feel special, that they could accomplish something, was just indescribable. It was amazing.
It makes me feel speechless and I don't know what to say.
I was crying full of tears with joy.
I just saw a lot of girls shining in the sense of an identity. You know, when people talk to you about who you are and what you do, I would hear Janice say, I'm a cheerleader. You know, I'm a cheerleader. This is what I do. And the pride that comes from having something that you've worked at and accomplish it, you know, that's tough for a lot of kids with special needs, you know, because they're so defined by what they can't do. And here's something that they can do that really helped each of the girls shine and have a sense of identity. So for my daughter, it was, you know, again, the highlight of her high school years.
I could never wrap my brain around the enormity of this. It will probably, when I'm 90 years old and sitting in a wheelchair in a nursing home, I will look back on my life and say, this was the best part of my life.
Well, I had to say that changed my life because I thought I was some kind of shy girl until cheerleading gave me confidence. I should have a chance to I should get a chance for people to recognize me because for now I just want to be heard.
The best thing about being a cheerleader, everybody will like you being a cheerleader. They will cheer for you, they will be happy for you and help for you whenever you need it.
If any of you girls with special needs out there want to be cheerleaders, just believe in yourself. If you need a coach,
believe in your dreams.
Here's one for dreamers who took that step. Here's one for every time they jumped without a net. Here's one for misfits who broke the rules, who feared the boredom more than scorn or ridicule. You're scared to fly in the endless sky when the voices say that there's no way you'll ever make the grade. Let's say you try, sun is set, will you regret the fall, or the times you did nothing at all?
I think by now we all know Brett Wong and what a fun, big-hearted guy he is. And talented as all get out. When he first started coming here just a little over a year ago, I knew public access had found a friend for life. Within just a few classes, his already apparent talent grew immeasurably, and so did his ambition. Brett has a ton of great ideas for shows, and he is not afraid to tell you about them. A lot of those early ideas revolved around cheerleading. In fact, for his first time out with the camera alone, he said he wanted to interview a cheerleading coach he knew. That was fine with me. What he brought back knocked me over. I had never heard the Cougarette story before. It was amazing. It was inspiring. And Brett's instincts were spot on. It would make great TV. In no time, we got the coaches and the girls into the studio and interviewed them. Then, over long weeks of editing, Brett and I shaped their story into the video you just saw. Susan, where's Susan? Susan, let me thank you first. Obviously, you have a special place in heaven for all the hard work you've done, not just for your daughter, but for all the girls. You're an amazing person. You are also supremely eloquent. The way you tell these stories with so much detail and so much affection is a television producer's dream. And everything I just said about Susan goes for Cheryl, too. Is Cheryl here? No, okay. Well, you'll have to tell her I said nice things about her. Well, Cheryl is clearly the rock of the Cougarettes, and that shows through in the video. Without her unwavering support and dedication, these girls would not have flown quite so high, and this video would be missing her down-to-earth wisdom and warmth. Abby, Bailey, Brooke, Jana, Sage, Samantha, and Stephanie, thank you all. I know that the interview wasn't always easy, and I know a few of you were nervous about it, but I don't see that in the video. All I see are 7 amazing movie stars. Honest to God movie stars. At the end of the video, Bailey says that you all just wanted to be heard. Thank you for letting Brett and I help you do that. Finally, Brett, where's Brett? I have a little bit more. Can I finish? Okay. But you can stay. Brett, this is all because of you, buddy. I'm so proud of everything you've done here. You're an amazing, amazing guy. Can you stand like right here? It's easier for me to look at my notes and make it kind of look like I'm talking to you if you're standing right there. Okay. I didn't have time to memorize them. I thought Joe volunteered a lot. You're here all the time, and I couldn't be happier. You make this a much more fun, much more adventurous place to work just by you being you. So thank you. All right, you ready? Okay.
Okay, so it's a good evening, so I made this film directly to the coaches and the members of the team. So here's the speech. Erica and I worked on successfully together on the movie Learning to Fly, and I discovered a good story for the movie. It talked about the cheerleaders when they gave their spirit to the Centennial High School adapted sports team. The movie title, Learning to Fly, was the cheerleaders' legacy when they left. the judges liked the movie because it had great dialogue and interview. It also won 2 Telly Awards for this year. I think the people like our movie because it makes them believe in kids who have disabilities like me and other people do. I discovered from a movie that goes with special needs. All can be special when they use their spirit to move on, to move forward. We can be anything. We can be anything we want to be. Everybody should believe in their dreams, because their dreams can become real, and I do inspire the speech and also with the video. Goes with one of my favorite cheerleaders that have been doing pretty good, and of course the most inspiring cheerleader and have coached the team was Stephanie Zabesky. And I'd like to say thanks to the coaches and the cheerleaders members, of course, and so I think that's about it. And thanks for the big video. So there will be another one coming up in April. Thank you.
Hang out up here for a second, okay?
I feel privileged to know both of these fellows, Brent and Joe, and they're just fun to be with, to work with, and I really enjoyed their company over the last year or two, and I wish them well and continued success.
Hey Brett, congratulations. Look forward to seeing many more good episodes in the future. We're very proud of you, and you're doing a great job.
I'm so proud of you, Brad. You're awesome boyfriend ever, and I can't believe how far you got this far, and I'm just so glad that you'll be able to help Eric to do this, so I'm proud of you. Love you.
Well, congratulations, Brett. That was a great job, and I wish you much more success in your film career, and I hope that they do the how-to films on the films that you love. And it was nice working with you a couple weeks ago, and I hope I get to work with you again. And as far as Joe and Eric go, well, you guys deserve it. You really do. I work with you guys a lot, and I really appreciate that. I just appreciate you guys. Oh gosh, you're gonna tear me up. No, it is a great thing that you guys got nominated. You should have won, as far as I'm concerned. Brett, you too, but you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, and I'm sorry, but I really think you should have won, and you should have a big medal that says Emmy nominee. Good luck, guys, on next year.
Got her mouth full. Bring your cupcake.
Oh, no,
Bring
okay,
your
all
cupcake.
right. Oh, cheers, Brad.
Cheers,
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Brad.
Good
I love you,
job.
buddy. Good job on learning to fly. Woohoo. All your girlfriends are here.
Look,
She's
what do
going
I
to
look
speak.
at, Brett?
The camera.
The camera.
Yeah.
The camera right there. Okay. So Brett's on the other end, and so I'm getting a little coaching because I've never done this before. Okay. So I want to say congratulations, Brett. You did an awesome job. That documentary, we were very, very just excited, and it was done so well, and we shared it with all of Mike's family too when we had opportunities. It was just awesome. And also congratulations to, who are the other people that helped you? Eric Houston? Yeah. Congratulations, Eric. Thank you for assisting Brett in this big project. And best wishes on the next project coming up. It is Pageant of, what's the name of it? Pageant of Hope. That's what I was thinking of. In April. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that one also. You did a great job.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Proud of you.
A toast to Brett. You are so amazing. I wish I was this much as famous as you are. Cheers to you.
Are we live? Are we okay? Well, congratulations there, Brett. Well done. And let's see you do more in the future. Okay.
Congratulations, Brett, and congratulations, Joe and Eric. Keep up the good work.
Congratulations, Brett. Thank you very much for all your help with our commercial. God bless you.
Congratulations, Brett. I love you.
Hi, Eric. Congratulations. You do such a wonderful job, and we love you. And it's always fun when we're around you. So have a good evening and keep up the good work.
Congratulations, Brett Wong, for directing our famous movie, which is a documentary. I want to say congratulations for filming our documentary and for taking pictures of all of us. Thank you.
Come here. Say congratulations, Brett.
Congratulations.
Who?
Brett. Very nice. Congratulations, Brett.
Hello. Okay, my mom is in a wheelchair. No video. Oh, congratulations!
Congratulations, Brett. Thumbs up. Oh, this is so nice. You folks are so professional for volunteers, so congratulations. Congratulations, Brett.
Brett, you're a guy. You can do it like a fly.
Do a little kick. Brett, I'm so proud of you. No, I'm gonna cry. I'm so proud of you, and I know God has used you in your life, and ever since you were brought to this world, and He has many, many more plans for you, and I'm just excited to see all that He has in store for you and this world. Love you.
Okay, guys, I had to come back for another round because I was so silly before. But really, you guys are like brothers to me, and it's great working with you, and everything that you do is good. I mean, it really is. You put a lot of time and effort and thought into it, and you're fun, and you make everything interesting, and I really believe that you truly deserve to win. Cookie or not, I really believe you guys deserve to win. So I just wanted to tell you that so you can cut out the other stuff, and I never know where to look. I'm like, here, there. But anyway, great job, guys. I'm really proud of you.
Brett, the event just ended. It was just magnificent. To see you up there shining it was so well deserved. And you just know how to bring out the best in other people. And that is such a treasure, it's such a gift. You have so many gifts to share. So thank you again for sharing yourself with all of us and for giving us the opportunity and having so much faith in the cheerleaders. That was just so sweet. Love you, Brett. Mwah. I wish this night would never end.
Yeah.